so much sand. Scratchy. What's up, athletes? Coach Eric back here with Eat, Train, Be Hoipy. And before we get going, go ahead and make sure to click that like button, hit that subscribe button, and then go ahead and get right here and comment on your keyboard with your fingertips or your thumb tips on your phone. Leave a nice little comment and tell me what you think. Tell me how things are going. Tell me how beautiful my eyes are. Anything. I don't know. Whatever you need. But here we are. Eat, Train, Be Hoipy this week. I am back. Had a great week at the beach. Had a great day coaching Saturday morning. Getting to see everybody again in person. And then Bob and Monique online. Hi, Bob and Monique. It's like I just saw you this way a couple days ago. But came back from the beach. And I kind of want to talk about something that kind of can roll into your fitness journey with my experience at the beach. And Meg set this trip up a couple months ago. Meg's was really excited to go camping again. I not so much. I haven't gone camping. I've gone camping once in my life, Harper's Ferry in September several years ago. Meg took me for my birthday. And I knew this was going to be a very different experience. And all I was thinking was like, it's going to be hot. There's going to be sand. There's going to be bugs. But Meg really wants to go. She's very excited about it. And I'm happy to do whatever Meg would like to do that makes her happy, especially when you're talking. Oh, by the way, she's in her third trimester of a pregnancy. So another interesting thing thrown into the mix of going camping. And Meg kept kind of asking me why I didn't seem so excited about the trip. And it's not that I wasn't excited. What I decided to do was to manage my expectations. I knew that it was probably going to be hot. I knew there was probably going to be bugs. I knew that there was going to be sand in places. And I knew that we were going with a now 3-year-old who is super curious and super independent and super fun. And I knew we were probably going to deal with a little one that was going to run off quite a bit. I knew we were going to deal with a little one that was probably going to struggle sleeping in a tent. And instead of worrying so much about all these things that I really couldn't control, I just went with hey, we're going to go, and whatever happens, happens. If it ends up being just a total shoot show, we're 2 hours away. We can go home. We could check into a hotel. We could go somewhere else. Like, it's just one of those things that no big deal. Whatever happens, happens. And honestly, I didn't necessarily set zero expectations, but I kept my expectations relatively low and just hope for the best. And honestly, I had a great time. I had a blast. I'm going to be honest, I totally want to do it again next year. Yes, I got attacked by mosquitoes one night. Yes, I'm still shaking sand out of things. Yes, it was like 80-some degrees and muggy at some point. But bug spray helps. 2 of the 3 nights that we were there were cool enough that we slept with blankets. Awesome. And even with the heat on the beach in the shade, you actually got a little chilly after you got out of the water. The water felt perfect. And Fee, yeah, I mean, she was super curious. She loves porta potties, and they're like these nice porta potties over there, and she just had to keep checking them out, which I don't know where she gets that from. We saw horses. I mean, horses were like right outside our tent. Even one night kind of like freaked me out a little bit because I couldn't see them, but I knew they were like right there. And it really was, not just for me, but for Fee, this really cool sensory like experience between the sand and the beach and the horses and the people. There were people there, and she played with these kids that we met in the campsite next to us. And so honestly, I just went not worrying so much about all these things that I knew could make it miserable. I just went with the mindset that whatever will be, and by keeping those expectations relatively low, so let's say perfect experience would be here, my expectations were kind of here, and the experience ended up being here. And this was a great time. So yes, I want to do it again. Maybe not in the middle of July, but it was also great. We got to spend Fee's birthday at the beach, and we got home in time to celebrate Meg's birthday. What does that have to do with the gym? What does that have to do with CrossFit? What does that have to do with anything? If you don't care, feel free to move on. But here's the thought. And Jack and I have talked about this a lot, maybe with you, definitely with each other. But we set this expectation that 5 days a week in the gym is money. Like, this is where things are going to happen. But also life kind of tends to happen too. And by setting this like 5-day expectation, sometimes we're setting ourselves up. And I'm not saying it's wrong to set 5. I'm saying sometimes it's difficult to get those 5 days in. And when we don't meet those 5 days, we feel disappointed in ourselves, or we feel like we missed out, or we feel like I didn't achieve the things that I want to do this week. So maybe 5 it's very difficult to hit. Maybe 3 isn't so much. Is 3 days that week? Is 3 days a week a number where it's like, even if you only hit 3, which is definitely much more manageable, do you still feel like you got something out of it? And then if you hit 4 and 5 later, it's kind of this like bonus. It's kind of like when we talk about weightlifting. Everyone did heavy deadlifts on Wednesday. And let's say you PR'd your deadlift and hit a 350-pound deadlift. And you got it up. Maybe it didn't look pretty. Maybe your back was a little sore the next day. And we know it was there, and if we had you do it again in a week, it may be there, it may not be there. But you know what? That 325 looked really good, and it felt really good. And it's not a max, but it's a heavy amount of weight that that whether you were tired, whether you were sick, whether it's max day, whether it's not max day, whether you got sleep, whether you didn't get sleep, that 325 will always be there. And so same thing like showing up to the gym. 3 days a week will always be there. Anything extra is just kind of a bonus. And so it's that kind of under-promise, over-deliver. It's that manage your expectations. And so that's kind of my challenge for you this week, whether it's days getting to the gym, whether it's, if you're weighing and measuring food, maybe it's I'm going to make sure maybe it's not something you do yet, but it's something you want to start doing. Just instead of weighing and measuring all your food this week, maybe start with breakfast. Weigh and measure your breakfast. Maybe you find something that you like that becomes this thing that you don't have to think about anymore. Maybe it's you're trying to read a book. Set a clock 20 minutes, instead of trying to read a chapter or trying to read, I'm going to have this entire book read at the end of the month and then life falls behind. Maybe you just sit down to read 15, 20 minutes a day. Maybe it's the same thing with mobility. Maybe instead of 10 minutes every single day, it's 5 minutes every single day. If you do a little bit of good work consistently, it definitely trumps great work some of the time, okay? And so that's kind of the challenge, is find not necessarily like the bare minimum, but what is that kind of minimum, middle of the road that you can always do regardless of what the day, the week, the month brings you. It's a great time. It's a lot of fun. It was a great challenge. Again, I'm happy to be back. And I'd love to see, what are you guys going to do this week? So leave that in the comments. What are you guys going to do this week? That is maybe your way of setting an expectation, maybe revising that expectation a little bit and making it something that's a little bit more manageable. And I definitely recommend writing it down. If you're setting goals or expectations for yourself, I think it's 83% of people, I think it was a Harvard Business study, 83% of people in the States don't have goals. 14% kind of have a plan or have a goal that they have in mind, but only 3% of those people write it down. And of that 3% that write it down, they are 3 times more likely to achieve that than the 14% that just have an idea. And so if you have something, go ahead and write it down. And a great place to write it is right there in the comments. So we got a great week planned for you guys. And I hope to see everyone on the creek. Talk to you then.